So we have a question from Steven from Kennesaw, and he's asking, how can I reduce my spending? So first of all, you need to know where your money goes. So you could start out by tracking all of your expenses for a month or two. So everything from picking up coffee on the way to work to the bigger things like your mortgage payment or your rent payment and utility bills, everything like that. You should also make sure to factor an appropriate amount of the annual cost of some of your regular expenses, such as car repairs, clothing, or even gifts. So once you have all your expenses written down and kind of tracked for a couple months, you should categorize the expenses to see where you're spending and how much you're spending in each of these categories. So your spending generally falls into two categories. You have your essential expenses and you have your discretionary expenses. The essential expenses are ones that you can't avoid. These are things like your rent, your utilities, your groceries, insurance premiums. Your discretionary expenses are the ones that you choose, such as eating out, entertainment, gifts, and even vacations. Discretionary expenses are the ones over which you'll have the most control when looking for ways to cut back. For example, if you drive your car for short distances a lot of the time, consider using public transportation more, and an easy way to cut back on driving a lot is carpooling. You could consider taking your coffee or your lunch to work every day rather than eating out. If you're paying for newspaper or magazine subscriptions that you're not really reading, you could cancel some of those. You could also consider cutting the cord. You may be able to reduce or eliminate your cable bill since there's so many options available now, such as Netflix and Hulu and all of the other streaming services. You may not need to pay for a full cable bill anymore. So in addition to cutting back on some of your discretionary expenses, there's other ways to cut back on some of the essential expenses also. You could make your home more energy efficient, so be sure to shut off the lights and TV when you leave and unplug any unused electronic devices. You'd also switch to LED light bulbs and use a programmable thermostat. You should also change the oil in your car on a regular basis to avoid more costly repairs due to neglect. And another thing to keep in mind is to keep your tires properly inflated to help improve your gas mileage. When you're shopping for groceries, you should also clip grocery store coupons, always shop from a list, and avoid the impulse items at the end of the aisles. Another thing to consider with some of your more essential expenses is to review your fees that you're paying to financial institutions. So if you have credit card debt and you're paying interest, you could consider doing a balance transfer to a card with 0% interest. Or if you have constant bank or ATM fees, you could consider switching banks to a lower cost option. You should pick a realistic goal for your monthly spending reduction and try not to make it too many changes all at once so you don't get discouraged. To see how big a difference this can make, just do the math. If you start by committing to reduce your spending by $15 a week, that comes out to $780 a year. You could set saved money aside, perhaps in a savings account for your planned vacation, or use it for a specific purpose, such as reducing debt faster. Cutting spending doesn't have to be hard, it just takes some self-control and patience. Once you find what works for you, you'll be able to reduce your outflow and direct that money towards your financial goals instead.